welcome to Cardinal Coach's Corner. Our guest this week is seventh-year head football coach Sherard Poteete in his 13th season at the college, and his Cardinals open the season Saturday at 7 p.m. at the Bruce, taking on Independence Community College out of Kansas. Po, you were 7-3 last season, and Independence was 2-8. What's your expectations of this Independence team that's going to be coming in before we talk about your team?
Man, they cause a lot of chaos. Just kind of watching them, the defense, they get up. They're going to be a man team. They're going to get up and blitz as much as they possibly can. If they stay true to their form of last season. I know their record wasn't where they wanted it to be.
But there were a lot of close games I noticed in there.
They had a lot of close games, and they gave a lot of teams some fits just defensively of what they were doing. It was a first-year coach, so this will be his second year there, kind of running their program, getting them where he wanted them to do kind of after he took over somebody else's team. So I think they'll be a lot better, and I think that they're going to probably just get after us and see how much havoc that they can cause.
And it's been pretty hot in Kansas this summer too, so we may not get the advantage there that we had against snow.
Yeah, hopefully it's been nice and cool up in Kansas, but we're going to welcome them to this Texas heat that we've had here Saturday night.
Well, you've had your kids on campus since about July the 7th, and the season opener just being a few days away, as we mentioned. Where do you think you are heading into the 7 p.m. kickoff?
I feel good. We were able to go out Saturday and kind of go through our pregame routine and kind of go through a 7 o'clock. It's the first time we practiced at 7. We kind of scrimmaged last Saturday night, run through guys being over there. Hey, here's where we're at halftime, just kind of getting all the first out of the way so that when we do it Saturday night, we look like we've been there before. But we feel good about it right now. We're, this heat's been kind of crazy. We've adjusted some things. We've maybe taken a few extra breaks throughout practice to give the guys time to go get water, go get in the shade, get out of that heat for a little bit. But, we're excited. The kids are really excited to finally go hit somebody else besides our own team day after day after day.
What were your biggest question marks going into the workouts, and how many answers do you think that you found?
Yeah, I think we've had some talented dudes show up here at the receiving position this year, and I think it's kind of changed week to week of who maybe the top few guys have been. And
that's good. That means the depth.
It is. It's the depth's really nice. It is. Different guys making plays. It was good to see a couple of guys go out and make some plays Saturday night, jumping up, winning some contested balls, making some big-time plays that, that guy needs to keep on doing that. And then you got maybe another guy that has not been as consistent, and then he kind of showed that again Saturday. So we maybe moved. There's been some position changes there, or some slots kind of changing in that pecking order this week as we head into game week.
You've got about 12 to 13 transfers on the roster this year. What have you seen from them as a group, and what are your expectations for those many kids, and how many of those will potentially start this Saturday?
We've got a lot of new faces this year. I think it's the most freshmen, this class that we signed back in February. It's the most freshmen that I've had here just because of the matriculation of guys transferring on to other schools. So when you can kind of get an older guy come in, that's a transfer. I mean, first off, you want them to show guys that are 18, 17 years old of like, we've been here before. We've done that. You want some leadership, from a guy that's been at the 4-year level. It's where everybody else is trying to go. So main thing is you want some leadership. You want some guys that just show up and go to work, that know how to practice, that know how to take care of their bodies, that know how to take care of things off the field and able to make the main thing instead of having all these distractions. So the main thing from leadership standpoint of view is from our transfers. You want some of that to kind of mix in with our older guys, if you have older guys at a junior college, of being on the same page of that leadership role.
And how many of those you potentially will start Saturday?
Majority of them will be playing for us. Yeah, we expect
that's
a
what
lot
you
of
expect
those.
as well.
Yeah, we expect the transfer guys to come in and make a difference.
You said earlier this summer that you didn't really have a lot of depth as far as numbers go at quarterback this year, but you like the kids that you do have. Talk about those young men and your expectations for them as a group.
Yeah, excited about those three guys that are really competing right now. All three of them made plays last Saturday in our scrimmage. They make plays during practice. We've got some guys that can really throw the ball. Arm strength's good, talent's good, running ability's good. So excited about this week as it's finally game week, and And, Diego Tello will take the first snaps for us. He's a transfer from UTSA. I think he's earned that, won that just from his time here and then throughout fall camp. And then we've got a really good battle at number 2 spot.
Yeah, and one of those young men started 6 games for Army last season.
Champ Harris started and played at Army last football season, last fall. And then Jaden Collins just down the road at Crockett's really a talented young man. It's just done nothing but just get better every day that he's been on this campus.
Now, on the defensive side of the ball, longtime assistant coach Blake Bryan takes over as your DC. What are your expectations for that group, and what have you seen from them in practice thus far?
Yeah, he's done a great job of getting those guys flying around to the ball, stemming, blitzing, shifting, just kind of giving different looks, not giving you the same 2 high or 1 high shell look every time. Odd fronts, even fronts, just being very multiple. Maybe doing the same stuff that we do, but just giving you multiple different looks and trying to confuse maybe some offensive line in their blocking schemes. But those guys are playing really hard right now.
One of the things that you mentioned going into the season a few weeks ago to me was in special teams play, you weren't exactly sure about the kicking position. You kind of got a blessing unexpectedly this past week.
Yeah, we've kind of had some unknowns in the kicking game. It's kind of the first year we haven't had a returning guy back with a lot of experience back as our guy. And so as we've gone through fall camp and we've got some guys battling it out and kind of having some kicking competition in the kickoff game, the punt game, the place kicking game. And then I think the conference leading scorer last year in Ty Powers, who had transferred to a Division I school back in December. Some things have worked out that Ty showed back up on campus this week, and so we kind of have the conference leading scorer back on our side playing for the Cardinals this season. So that'll be good in our place kicking game, and then we've got a couple of guys still kind of battling who's going to be the kickoff guy and who will be the punter.
One of the things fans are going to notice that's different in the junior college game this year is instant replays. Now, I sat in on the coaches meeting that you had here 3 weeks ago, and I left more confused than I have answers for. So I'm going to get you to explain the way it's supposed to work.
Well, sometimes I get more confused every time I talk to the officials as well. So the kind of the replay system works now is that every team, each coach will get a replay, right? You'll get a challenge. You can challenge a play call. But you have to have a timeout available to use that challenge. If you win the challenge, then you get a bonus challenge. Then you get one more.
And do you get the timeout back?
You get your timeout back,
okay.
Yes. If you are out of timeouts, you can't challenge anything. So you basically got to have a timeout each half if you want to have it late in the game, have a challenge. So first half you use a challenge, you win the challenge, then you get your timeout back, and you also get your challenge back that you could use later in the game. But if first quarter is a play and you challenge it and you lose it, then you do not have a challenge for the rest of the game.
And one thing I didn't understand that day when it was being described by the officiating chapter was there. If there's a targeting call, is that an automatic replay by the officials?
Yes. So any targeting penalty that's thrown, they will automatically review that themselves. You will not have to use a challenge on that.
And if I understood it, there's going to be automatic timeouts built in between quarters.
We have a 2-minute warning now. It's almost kind of like the NFL clock management, that type of thing will be very NFL-like. So, first, the old high school, college football, if you got a first down, the chains would move. The clock would kind of stop while the chains were moving. Then they would restart the clock. So now the clock's not stopping for the chains. A ball out of bounds, if a running back gets tackled out of bounds, receiver gets tackled, the clock doesn't stop for out-of-bounds plays now until you have your 2-minute warning of the second quarter, fourth quarter. After the 2-minute warning, then it kind of goes back to your college NCAA high school rules of chains. The clock stops from chains moving. Clock will stop on an out-of-bounds play.
Well, did you like this change? Or
I don't know yet. It's like we're changing something constantly. But, now I guess you kind of get an extra timeout built in there with the 2-minute warning. So all of us, it's going to be, this will be our first time really experiencing that as we kind of go into. So we've tried to simulate some things in practice. your 2-minute drills, your when the offense is behind trying to go score, or maybe your 4-minute offense when the offense has the lead and you're trying to maybe run the clock down. Well, now you got to kind of count in for that 2-minute drill of the defense having an extra timeout.
Not that you haven't done this before, but you're going to go back to calling the plays this year. How's that going to affect what you do on the sidelines as far as the entire game? Because typically you've got to be focused on the offense.
Right, so I have to spend a little more time offensively. Obviously, if I didn't trust our defensive coordinator and those type things, I couldn't do some of that things. So feel really good about that. I just another way of getting more involved back in the offense instead of just trying to run the whole show. And so if I'm more focused on the offense and what's going on our side of the ball, I'll have less time to talk to the officials. Right?
Theoretically.
Right.
Theoretically. That's Sherard Poteete, the head coach of the Trinity Valley Community College Cardinals. They will start the season at 7 o'clock at Saturday night at Bruce Field against Independence Community College. We want you out there at the stadium. If you can't make it, we will have the game for you on the Cardinal Sports Network on the college's YouTube channel. Until next week, this is Benny Rogers for Sherard Poteete. Thank you for joining us on Cardinal Coach's Corner.